Three levels of ministry. Talking about spiritual ministry, there is the ministry of prayer, the ministry of the word, and the ministry of consecration. These ministries, they are spiritual aspects, minister of the gospel, and they do not apply to a believer. They only apply to those who are called in ministry. So there are three levels of the spiritual ministry. There is a physical ministry and there is a spiritual ministry. So the spiritual ministry, it is sustained by three levels of ministry. Number one, the ministry of the word. The ministry of the word, it is the embodiment of the government of God upon a minister of the gospel. This is what it means. We're talking about the message. We're talking about, when you talk about the embodiment of God's structure upon a man, we're talking about the constitution of God, the message, the divine mandate and assignment inside the embodiment of the government of God upon a man. That's the ministry of the word. It is the first ministry, the first spiritual ministry upon his servant. Number two, the ministry of prayer. The ministry of prayer, it is the fuel that ignites or that drives the embodiment of the government of God upon a man. So the ministry of prayer, it is the fuel of the spiritual ministry. Without this ministry, it lacks fire and it lacks power and authority. This is the main aspect of the spiritual ministry called the ministry of prayer. Then when we talk about, let me go back to the ministry of prayer. The ministry of prayer, it contains all portals, access, gates, keys, principles. They are established inside the ministry of prayer. The ministry of prayer, it carries the atmosphere. It consulates and constitutes the keys, gates, access, portals, and principles. They are established inside the ministry of prayer. So prayer, it is ministry of fire. It is the fuel of the ministry. It is the ignition of the ministry inside the embodiment of your ministry. Number three, the ministry of consecration, which is the last ministry. This is a realm where all the heavenly packages being delivered into the physical, they are channeled, they are patterned, they are encoded, and they are kept. It is an atmosphere that does not require any man's works. As Jesus said to the disciples, you have been made clean, not because of your works, but because of the word that I have given to you. So these two ministries, the ministry of prayer and the ministry of consecration, but the ministry of consecration, it is a ministry of mercy. This is where the mercy of God is found. You are given, you are consecrated, you have been made whole, not because of your works, but because of the word that you have received, the word that you have managed to keep, and the word you are abiding inside, and the word that you are yielding yourself to. This is the ministry of consecration. This is the ministry that determines the kind of packages that will be kept in your life. It is a ministry that keeps and maintains the atmosphere, platforms. It secures platforms. It secures opportunities. It secures packages in the atmosphere. It creates opportunities in the realms of men, in the realms of the physical. This is the importance of having the spiritual ministry called the ministry of consecration. It is the ministry of fully abiding in the will of God, yielding to the will of God and committing yourself to the move and the ministry of the Holy Spirit.